Marcus Chun wiped sweat from his forehead as he checked the perimeter sensors around his research station. The remote planet of Kepler, 442c, had been his home for 6 months now, studying the unique crystalline formations that could revolutionize human energy storage. The work was lonely, but he wasn't completely alone. His German shepherd, Rex, had been his constant companion since arriving on this distant world. The planet was supposedly uninhabited. The initial surveys had found no signs of intelligent life, just vast forests of purple-leaved trees and crystal caves that hummed with natural energy. That's why the Terran Research Council had approved Marcus's solo mission. He was safe here, or so everyone believed. Rex suddenly lifted his head from where he'd been resting near the lab equipment. His ears stood straight up, and a low growl rumbled in his throat. Marcus looked up from his datapad, immediately alert. In 6 months, Rex had only acted this way twice before, both times when dangerous predators had wandered too close to their camp. "What is it, boy?" Marcus whispered, reaching for the plasma rifle mounted on the wall. Rex was already moving toward the main entrance, his nose working frantically as he sniffed the air. The dog's behavior was different this time. Usually, when predators approached, Rex would bark and show aggression. Now he seemed confused, almost conflicted. Marcus followed his dog outside into the fading light of Kepler, 442c's twin suns. The purple forest stretched endlessly in all directions, and the evening mist was beginning to rise from the warm ground. Rex trotted about 50 meters from his station, then stopped at a cluster of crystal formations. He looked back at Marcus and whined softly. "Show me," Marcus said, keeping his rifle ready. Rex had saved his life more than once on this planet. The dog's senses were far superior to any human technology when it came to detecting threats in the alien wilderness. As they approached the crystals, Marcus heard something that made his blood run cold. It was a sound no human throat could make, a series of clicking and whistling noises that seemed to form a pattern. Rex wasn't growling anymore. Instead, he was whimpering and pawing gently at something behind a large purple crystal. Marcus moved carefully around the formation and saw something that changed everything he thought he knew about this world. A creature lay crumpled against the crystal base, clearly injured and barely conscious. It stood about 7 feet tall, even while lying down, with 4 arms and skin that shifted color like oil on water. Its large, multifaceted eyes were closed, and strange blue fluid leaked from several wounds across its torso. The creature was obviously alien, but what shocked Marcus most was what lay scattered around it. Pieces of advanced technology, far more sophisticated than anything humans had developed. A weapon that hummed with energy even while damaged. Communication devices that pulsed with complex light patterns. This wasn't some primitive alien species. This was a being from an advanced civilization. Rex approached the creature slowly, his tail low, but not tucked. The dog sniffed the alien carefully, then looked back at Marcus with an expression that seemed to say, "It's hurt. We need help." Marcus's mind raced. First contact protocols demanded he immediately report this discovery to Earth Command. But the nearest communication relay wouldn't carry his message home for another 3 weeks. The creature was dying right in front of him, and by the time help arrived from Earth, it would be far too late. The alien's eyes suddenly opened, revealing intelligence and awareness that made Marcus take a step back. Those multifaceted eyes fixed on him, then shifted to Rex. The creature made more clicking sounds, weaker this time, and one of its forearms moved slightly toward the dog. Rex, incredibly, moved closer to the alien. The creature's hand gently touched the dog's fur, and Rex's tail actually wagged once. Marcus couldn't believe what he was seeing. His dog, trained to protect him from any threat, was showing affection toward a completely unknown alien species. "Rex, come here," Marcus called softly, but the dog ignored him. Instead, Rex lay down next to the wounded creature, providing warmth and comfort. The alien's color-shifting skin seemed to calm, settling into deep blue and green patterns that somehow felt peaceful to Marcus. The creature looked at Marcus again and made a series of sounds that, while completely alien, carried an unmistakable tone of gratitude. It was thanking him, or at least thanking Rex, for the kindness being shown. Marcus lowered his rifle. Every protocol, every piece of first contact training told him this was dangerous beyond measure. He knew nothing about this species, their intentions, their capabilities, or their technology. For all he knew, this could be a scout for an invasion force. But, looking at the creature's obvious pain and Rex's gentle behavior, he made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Okay," he said quietly, more to himself than to either Rex or the alien. "Let's get you inside." The next hour was the most surreal of Marcus's life. The alien was too large for him to move alone, but it seemed to understand his intentions. Using its remaining strength and Marcus's help, they managed to get the creature into his research station. Rex stayed close the entire time, providing support and comfort. Marcus had basic medical supplies, but nothing designed for alien physiology. He did what he could, cleaning wounds and applying pressure bandages where the blue fluid was leaking most severely. The alien endured his clumsy first aid attempts with remarkable patience, occasionally making soft clicking sounds that Rex seemed to respond to. As Marcus worked, he noticed details about the creature that filled him with both wonder and concern. Its technology was clearly far advanced of human capabilities, but it had been badly damaged in whatever conflict had wounded the alien. Burn marks on the devices suggested weapons fire. This being hadn't been hurt in an accident. It had been in a battle. The alien's breathing, a complex process involving gill-like openings along its neck, gradually became more steady as Marcus treated its wounds. When he was finished, the creature looked at him with those incredible multifaceted eyes and made a series of sounds that were clearly words in its language. Rex seemed to understand something because he went to his food bowl, picked it up in his mouth, and brought it to the alien. The creature looked at the bowl, then at Rex, and made what Marcus could only interpret as a sound of amusement. It tried to drink the water Marcus offered, though its alien anatomy made the process awkward. As the night wore on, Marcus found himself sitting across from an intelligent alien being in his small research station, with his dog serving as an unlikely ambassador between their species. The creatures seemed to be trying to communicate, pointing at various objects and making sounds that Marcus began to realize might be attempts at teaching him basic words. The alien pointed at Rex and made a specific sound. Then it pointed at Marcus and made a different sound. Finally, it pointed at itself and made a third sound that Marcus guessed was its name or maybe its species designation. "Marcus," Marcus said, pointing at himself. He pointed at Rex and said, "Rex." Then he pointed at the alien and waited. The creature's skin shifted to brighter colors, and it repeated Marcus and Rex with remarkable accuracy, considering its completely different vocal apparatus. Then it pointed at itself and made the sound again, which Marcus tried to repeat as best he could. For the first time since discovering the wounded alien, Marcus allowed himself to think about the bigger picture. This creature represented proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. Its technology suggested a civilization far more advanced than Earth's. But, most importantly, its gentle interaction with Rex and its apparent gratitude for their help suggested that peaceful contact might be possible. However, Marcus couldn't ignore the evidence of battle damage on the alien's equipment. Someone or something had attacked this being. Were there hostile forces in this part of the galaxy? Was humanity about to find itself caught in the middle of an interstellar conflict they knew nothing about? The alien seemed to sense Marcus's troubled thoughts. It reached into an undamaged pouch on its side and pulled out a small device that projected a three-dimensional map of the local stellar region. Marcus recognized his own star system, but the map showed dozens of others, connected by lines that might represent trade routes or patrol paths. Some systems pulsed with peaceful blue light. Others flickered with ominous red. The alien pointed at the red systems and made sounds that were clearly warnings. Then it pointed at Earth's system, which currently glowed blue, and made protective gestures. Marcus realized he was looking at a map of an ongoing interstellar conflict. The wounded alien wasn't just a random traveler. It was likely a soldier or scout in a war that humanity didn't even know was happening around them. Rex seemed to sense the gravity of the moment. He moved closer to both Marcus and the alien, as if trying to bridge the gap between their species with his simple, honest affection. The alien gently stroked Rex's fur and made soft sounds that transcended any language barrier. As the night deepened, Marcus knew that everything had changed. He wasn't just a lonely researcher anymore. He was now the first human to make contact with an alien intelligence. And that contact had happened because his dog had chosen compassion over caution. The wounded alien gradually fell into what seemed like sleep, its breathing steady and its skin cycling through calm color patterns. Rex curled up beside the creature, standing guard even in rest. Marcus remained awake, watching over both of them and trying to process the magnitude of what had happened. Tomorrow, he would have decisions to make that could affect the entire human race. But tonight, he was simply a man, his dog, and an alien sharing shelter on a distant world, connected by the universal language of kindness and the hope that understanding between species was possible. Marcus looked at Rex, sleeping peacefully beside their unexpected guest, and smiled despite his concerns. His faithful companion had once again proven that sometimes the simplest gestures of compassion could change everything. The dog had discovered a wounded foe and warned his owner, but instead of driving the alien away, they had chosen to help. That choice would indeed alter everything, though Marcus couldn't yet imagine just how profound those changes would be. Marcus woke to the sound of Rex barking urgently outside the research station. The first pale light of Kepler 442c's twin suns was just beginning to filter through the purple forest canopy. He immediately checked on his alien guest, who was awake and appeared significantly stronger than the previous night. The creature's wounds had stopped bleeding, and its skin showed healthier color patterns. The alien heard Rex's barking and immediately began making rapid clicking sounds while pointing toward the station's small windows. Its multifaceted eyes showed clear alarm, and it struggled to stand despite its injuries. Marcus rushed to the observation port and felt his heart sink at what he saw. 3 ships, sleek and menacing, hovered above the forest canopy about a kilometer away. They were clearly of alien design, but different from any technology belonging to the species he was harboring. These vessels were darker, more angular, and they moved with predatory grace as they conducted what was obviously a search pattern. Rex continued barking at the ships, his fur standing on end. The wounded alien managed to reach its damaged equipment and activated something that projected a holographic display. Marcus saw symbols and patterns he couldn't read, but the alien's behavior made the meaning clear. These ships belonged to whoever had wounded his guest, and they were hunting. The alien looked at Marcus with an expression that somehow conveyed both gratitude and urgency. It pointed at itself, then at the door, making gestures that suggested it should leave to draw the hunters away. The creature was willing to sacrifice itself to protect Marcus and Rex from becoming involved in their conflict. No, Marcus said firmly, even though he knew the alien couldn't understand his words. You're not going anywhere in your condition. He quickly began gathering emergency supplies while his mind raced through possibilities. His research station was well hidden beneath the forest canopy, but if these hunters had advanced sensors, they would eventually locate them. His own technology was primitive compared to what he was seeing, but Marcus had one advantage the aliens might not expect. He knew this planet better than anyone. The alien watched with obvious confusion as Marcus packed survival gear and medical supplies into a backpack. When Marcus moved toward his communication equipment, the creature became agitated, making urgent warning sounds. It pointed at the hunting ships and then at the communication array, shaking its head vigorously. Marcus understood. Using human technology would reveal their location immediately to the advanced alien sensors. He was truly on his own, with no way to call for help from Earth. Everything depended on his knowledge of this world and his ability to keep his unexpected guests safe until the hunters moved on. Rex had stopped barking, but remained alert, his attention focused on the ships in the distance. The dog seemed to understand that stealth was now more important than warning. Marcus had trained him well during their months of exploring dangerous predator territories. The alien managed to salvage one small device from its damaged equipment. When activated, it created a localized field that seemed to bend light around them, making them harder to see. The technology was failing, flickering in and out, but it might provide some concealment if they had to move. Marcus made a decision that went against every safety protocol he'd learned. He was going to take the alien deep into the crystal caves, where his research had shown sensor readings became unreliable. The natural energy emissions from the crystalline formations might mask their presence from the hunting ships. He helped the wounded creature to its feet, surprised by how quickly it had recovered. The alien's physiology was clearly more resilient than human biology. They moved carefully out of the research station, with Rex scouting ahead, and Marcus supporting the alien's weight as they moved toward the nearest cave entrance. The journey through the forest was tense and difficult. The alien's injuries slowed them down, and several times they had to hide behind large trees or crystal outcroppings as the hunting ships passed overhead. Rex proved invaluable during these moments, always sensing when the ships were approaching before Marcus's limited human hearing could detect them. As they moved deeper into the forest, Marcus began to understand more about his alien companion. The creature moved with obvious military training, always aware of cover and concealment. Its eyes constantly scanned for threats, and it communicated through subtle gestures that suggested extensive combat experience. The alien also showed remarkable consideration for Marcus's limitations. It adjusted its pace to match human capabilities and seemed to understand that Marcus's senses were far less acute than its own. When they rested, the creature always positioned itself to guard the most likely approaches while allowing Marcus to recover his strength. Rex had bonded completely with their new companion. The dog moved between Marcus and the alien as they traveled, as if protecting both of them. The alien, despite its obvious pain, would occasionally pause to gently stroke Rex's fur, and the dog's tail would wag softly in response. They reached the cave entrance just as the hunting ships began a more intensive search pattern. Marcus could hear the high-pitched whine of advanced scanners as the vessels moved closer to their location. He led his companions into the crystalline depths, hoping his theory about sensor interference was correct. The cave system was even more beautiful than Marcus remembered. Massive crystals grew from floor to ceiling, pulsing with internal light that cast rainbow patterns on the walls. The aliens stopped at the sight, making soft sounds of wonder despite their dangerous situation. Its skin shifted to colors that seemed to mirror the crystal formations, and Marcus realized this might be the first time the creature had seen anything like this natural beauty. As they moved deeper into the caves, Marcus's instruments confirmed his theory. The crystal formations were generating electromagnetic interference that would make it nearly impossible for external sensors to penetrate. They were as safe here as anywhere on the planet. The alien seemed to reach the same conclusion. Its posture relaxed slightly, and it began examining the crystals with obvious scientific interest. When it pulled out a small scanning device of its own, Marcus realized they shared more than just the immediate need for survival. They were both researchers, both driven by curiosity about the universe around them. Rex found a comfortable spot where he could watch both entrances to their hiding place. The dog seemed to understand that this was their sanctuary, at least for now. Marcus set up a small camp while the alien continued its examination of the crystal formations. What happened next amazed Marcus. The alien activated several of its devices, and began what was clearly a communication attempt. But instead of trying to contact its own people, the creature was analyzing the crystal formations and Marcus's research data, trying to understand human scientific methods. Over the next several hours, they developed a remarkable working partnership. The alien shared its advanced scanning techniques, while Marcus provided his detailed knowledge of the planet's geological structures. Neither could understand the other's language, but mathematics and scientific principles proved to be universal. Rex served as their ambassador, moving between them and somehow facilitating communication through his simple presence. The dog's reactions helped both researchers understand when they were making progress or encountering difficulties. Marcus began to suspect that Rex's emotional intelligence was actually more advanced than either human or alien analytical capabilities. As they worked together, Marcus learned disturbing details about the conflict that had brought his companion to this world. The alien showed him star charts that revealed a massive war spreading across this part of the galaxy. One species, the hunters currently searching for them, was systematically conquering and enslaving other civilizations. The aliens' people were part of a defensive alliance trying to stop this expansion. They had been fighting a losing battle for decades, falling back from one star system to another as the hunters advanced. The creature Marcus was sheltering was a reconnaissance officer, gathering intelligence on potential refugee worlds for civilian populations fleeing the advancing enemy. Kepler 442c had been identified as a possible sanctuary world because its initial surveys showed no intelligent life. The alien had been conducting a detailed assessment when it was discovered and attacked by hunter scouts. It had barely escaped to the planet's surface, where Rex had found it. The implications were staggering. Earth and the entire human species were completely unaware that they were living on the border of an active war zone. Humanity's limited space travel capabilities meant they had no idea their galaxy was being consumed by an aggressive, expanding empire. Marcus realized that his alien companion wasn't just a wounded soldier. This creature was potentially humanity's first warning about a threat that could eventually reach Earth. The hunter ships overhead were scouts for a force that had already destroyed dozens of civilizations across thousands of star systems. The alien seemed to understand Marcus's growing comprehension of the situation. It brought out what appeared to be a personal device, something like a combination diary and mission recorder. The holographic displays showed images of beautiful worlds reduced to ash, of refugee fleets fleeing across space, of brave defenders making final stands against overwhelming odds. Rex moved closer to both of them as the weight of the situation became clear. The dog couldn't understand the technical details, but he could sense the emotional impact of what they were discussing. His presence provided comfort to both species as they contemplated the magnitude of the threat approaching their corner of the galaxy. The alien made a decision that surprised Marcus. It began showing him defensive technologies, weapons systems, and strategic information that could help humanity prepare for the eventual arrival of the hunters. This was classified military intelligence, but the creature was sharing it freely because it recognized that all species in this region would need to work together to have any chance of survival. Marcus understood that he was receiving information that could change the course of human civilization. Technologies that could advance Earth's defensive capabilities by centuries were being freely offered by someone who had every reason to see humanity as potential competitors rather than allies. The sound of ship engines passing overhead reminded them that they were still in immediate danger. The aliens' generous sharing of information would mean nothing if they were discovered by the hunters. But something had changed during their hours of collaboration. They were no longer just a human and an alien hiding from a common threat. They had become partners, united by shared scientific curiosity and the determination to protect both their species from destruction. Rex curled up between them as they prepared to wait out the hunter's search. The dog's simple acceptance of their unusual situation had helped bridge the gap between two completely different forms of life. Marcus realized that his faithful companion had not only saved an alien life the previous night, but had also helped forge the first alliance between humanity and the galaxy's resistance forces. The hunters would eventually move on to search other areas, but the consequences of this first contact would echo across the stars for generations to come. The hunter ships finally departed after 3 days of intensive searching. Marcus watched them disappear into space through the cave entrance, feeling a mixture of relief and dread. They were safe for now, but the alien had made it clear that the hunters would return with larger forces once they reported this system's potential value. Rex had remained alert throughout their hiding period, somehow sensing when it was safe to move and when they needed to stay completely still. The dog's instincts had probably saved all their lives multiple times as hunter-scout teams had come close to discovering their crystal sanctuary. The alien, who had taught Marcus to pronounce its name as something like Thane-Ka, was now strong enough to travel. Its remarkable healing abilities had accelerated the recovery process, though it still moved carefully to avoid reopening wounds. More importantly, Thane-Ka had used their time in the caves to complete repairs on its most critical equipment. Marcus had watched in fascination as Thane-Ka worked with technology that seemed to blend science and art. The alien's tools responded to complex hand gestures and color changes in its skin, creating a form of biotechnological interface that was completely beyond human understanding. Yet Thane-Ka had patiently tried to explain the principles involved, sharing knowledge that could advance human science by centuries. When they finally emerged from the caves, Marcus faced a decision that would determine the fate of his entire species. Thane-Ka could repair its ship and return to the resistance forces, carrying warning about the hunter presence in this region. But the alien had also made a proposal that Marcus was still trying to fully comprehend. Thane-Ka wanted to take Marcus and Rex back to the resistance leadership. The alien had been deeply impressed by human adaptability and Rex's remarkable emotional intelligence. It believed that humanity could bring unique strengths to the Galactic Alliance fighting against the Hunters. Marcus had tried to explain that he was just one human, that he had no authority to speak for his entire species. But Thane-Ka understood something about human nature that Marcus was only beginning to grasp. Sometimes individuals could make decisions that changed everything, especially when those individuals had the courage to act when action was needed. Standing beside Thane-Ka's partially repaired ship, Marcus looked at the device the alien had given him. It was a communication system that could reach Earth, but it would also reveal humanity's location to any forces monitoring subspace frequencies. Using it would end Earth's anonymity and safety, but it would also begin humanity's education about the realities of galactic civilization. Rex seemed to sense the importance of the moment. The dog sat between Marcus and Thane-Ka, looking up at both of them with that simple trust that had brought them together. Rex didn't understand politics or military strategy, but he understood loyalty and the need to help those in danger. Marcus activated the communication device and sent a carefully crafted message to Earth Command. He reported his discovery of alien life and the imminent threat approaching human space. He requested immediate military and diplomatic response, knowing that his message would cause chaos in every government and military command on Earth. Thane-Ka watched approvingly as Marcus made the hardest decision of his life. The alien understood that Marcus was sacrificing his own safety and potentially his homeworld security to do what was right. This was exactly the kind of moral courage that Thane-Ka believed could make humanity valuable allies in the coming conflict. The next several hours were a blur of activity. Thane-Ka's ship was functional enough for space travel, though it would need major repairs before any combat missions. Earth Command responded to Marcus's message with everything from disbelief to panic to demands for immediate evacuation. Marcus ignored most of the communications, focusing on the few officials who seemed to understand the magnitude of the situation. When the first human ships arrived in the Kepler 442c system, they found Marcus, Rex, and Thane-Ka waiting calmly at the research station. The alien had insisted on meeting humanity's representatives in person, despite the obvious risks. Thane-Ka believed that face-to-face contact was essential for building the trust that would be necessary in the coming conflict. The initial diplomatic meetings were chaotic and difficult. Most of the human officials were unprepared for contact with alien intelligence, let alone the revelation that humanity was surrounded by an active war zone. Translators struggled to bridge the gap between human and alien languages, while military advisors tried to assess the technological capabilities being offered to them. Through it all, Rex served as an unofficial ambassador. The dog's calm acceptance of Thane-Ka helped ease tensions and demonstrated that cooperation between species was possible. Watching a simple Earth animal interact naturally with an advanced alien being had a profound psychological impact on both diplomatic teams. Marcus found himself in the unprecedented position of being humanity's primary expert on alien contact. His months of interaction with Thane-Ka had given him insights that no one else possessed. But more importantly, his partnership with the alien had proved that mutual respect and cooperation could overcome vast differences in biology and technology. The information Thane-Ka shared with Earth's leaders was both invaluable and terrifying. Humanity learned that their galaxy contained hundreds of intelligent species, most of them locked in a desperate struggle for survival against the expanding Hunter Empire. Earth's isolation had been temporary luck, not permanent safety. But Thane-Ka also brought hope. The Resistance forces had been waiting for new allies who could bring fresh perspectives and capabilities to their cause. Human creativity, adaptability, and emotional bonds with non-sentient species like dogs represented unique strengths that could make a difference in the war. The decision to join the Galactic Resistance was made remarkably quickly once Earth's leaders understood the full scope of the threat. Humanity's survival depended on the Resistance succeeding, and the Resistance needed every ally it could find. The partnership was born from necessity, but it was built on the foundation of trust that Marcus and Thane-Ka had established. Rex became something of a celebrity in both human and alien media coverage of the First Contact events. The dog's role in discovering Thane-Ka and facilitating communication between species captured imaginations across the galaxy. Rex didn't understand his fame, but he seemed to enjoy the extra attention and treats that came with being an interstellar hero. The transformation of human society began almost immediately. Technologies shared by Thane-Ka and other Resistance scientists advanced Earth's capabilities by generations in just months. Spacecraft that could travel between stars, weapons that could defend against Hunter attacks, and communication systems that connected Earth to the galactic community all became reality. But the most important changes were cultural rather than technological. Humanity learned that they were part of something larger than their own species, part of a community of intelligent life that spanned the galaxy. The knowledge that other beings faced the same struggles and shared the same hopes created a new perspective on what it meant to be human. Marcus found himself appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the Resistance forces. It was a position he never wanted, but was uniquely qualified to fill. His understanding of both human and alien perspectives made him an effective bridge between communities that had no other way to communicate. Thane-Ka recovered fully from its injuries and returned to active duty, but maintained close contact with Marcus and Rex. The alien had learned as much from humanity as it had taught, particularly about the value of emotional connections in building strong alliances. The friendship between the three of them became a symbol of what was possible when different species chose cooperation over conflict. The war against the Hunters was far from over when Marcus sent his final report from the Resistance command ship where he now served. Humanity had joined the fight and was making a difference, but victory was still uncertain. However, something fundamental had changed in the balance of power. The Hunters faced opponents who were no longer fighting alone. Rex had adapted to life aboard alien spacecraft with typical canine flexibility. The dog made friends with crew members from dozens of different species, somehow communicating affection and loyalty across barriers that sophisticated translation equipment could barely breach. Rex proved that some connections transcended language, biology, and technology. Looking back at the chain of events that had brought them to this point, Marcus often reflected on the simple moment when Rex had chosen compassion over caution. A wounded enemy had become a trusted friend because one dog had recognized suffering and refused to ignore it. That moment of kindness had grown into an alliance that might save both their species and many others. The hunters eventually learned that humanity had joined the resistance, but by then it was too late to prevent the integration. Earth's defensive systems had been upgraded, its population educated about the galactic situation, and its military forces trained in advanced combat techniques. The hunters would find no easy conquest in human space. Marcus's final entry in his mission log was simple but profound. He wrote that Rex had indeed discovered a wounded foe and warned his owner, but the warning had led to rescue rather than rejection. That choice had altered everything, proving that sometimes the greatest victories came not from defeating enemies, but from transforming them into friends. The dog who had started it all remained oblivious to his historical importance, more interested in his daily walks through the ship's corridors and the fascinating variety of alien foods that different crew members shared with him. Rex had done what dogs do best, showing unconditional love and loyalty to those who needed it most. In doing so, he had helped forge the alliance that would determine the future of galactic civilization. The story of first contact between humanity and the galactic resistance would be told for generations. But those who lived through it knew that the real hero was a simple Earth dog who had chosen kindness when faced with the unknown. Rex had proved that sometimes the smallest acts of compassion could indeed alter everything.